Welcome back to the Glitz and Glam Right Show on Star Attraction. I'm Isha Mansingh, and up next we'll bring you local gig guides and some big stars making big waves. Be sure to catch the highly spirited, world-renowned production Umoja. It comes to you at the Sabaya Casino in Durban from the 11th to the 21st of April. It's 12 shows only, so be sure to get your tickets at CompuTicket today. Multi-talented, fun-loving, extremely humorous and powerhouse couple. Joining us next on Local Rising Stars, we bring to you JJ and VIKASH Mathura.
Talented, dynamic and a true radio legend. Today on Star Attraction, we bring you the lovely JJ Mathura. And by the way, VIKASH is also here as well. So guys, welcome to Star Attraction on Saffron TV.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to take you back to almost 20 years. Was it love at first sight?
No, not at all. It was attraction.
Star Attraction.
Star Attraction.
It was Star Attraction. The first thing I liked about JJ, when I walked in, the first time I saw her in person, I walked into the studio, I had to shadow, I had to sit in and learn the craft, the art in those days, and she was on air. We were already presenting on television together, but you know how it works in the television industry. She recorded her links separately, I did mine independently, and we'd never met for 6 months. And then radio came along, and I had to go in and sit in with this mentor. And the first thing I noticed that I liked about her was how pretty her feet were. And then she opened her mouth and she said to me, "Shut up and sit in the corner." And that hasn't changed 21 years later.
So she was the boss then, she's the boss now as well.
She's still the boss.
How's life been as Mr. and Mrs. Mathura?
For me or for her?
For both of you.
For her, it's been bliss. No, look, it's been challenging, but it's I suppose for the past 21 years that we've almost been married, the accolades and the benefits far outweigh the challenges. The challenges I speak of is that you don't have too much of a personal life. It's difficult when one member of the family is in the media spotlight, but it's even worse when both members of the family are profiled by the media and constantly under media scrutiny. So, yeah, but I had a good mentor in learning how to deal with it. And I think that's probably one of the challenges that many incoming people in the industry these days don't have the luxury of, and that is to have somebody to warn you about the psychological issues that you will face, the personal trauma you will face in this very ruthless industry.
JJ, I've got to ask you, a few weeks ago there was a big celebration in your family. Tell us more about that.
We celebrated 20 years together, married, and it's always been our desire, my greatest wish, to renew our vows. And if we could possibly have some sort of ceremony, because we eloped the first time, so we didn't have that ceremony. And the situation was such, VIKASH wasn't feeling too healthy, and he'd made several trips to the hospital. So everything was on the back burner until the kids decided, together with some of my closest friends who really are my sisters. We don't share DNA, but Malika, Deepa, Jyoti and I really are sisters in every other sense. To throw us a surprise wedding. And when I say surprise wedding, I mean, I thought it was just going to be a renewal of vows. On Friday, we find out that there's going to be a small Mehndi ceremony. And so Saturday morning, there's VIKASH in shorts and T-shirt, and I had a cotton Punjabi, and then Simran phones Malika and says, "Masi, Daddy's coming in shorts and T-shirts." So she phones me and she says, "No, we want to do the Mehndi a little bit nicely with songs and things." So I said, "Yeah, well, I'm wearing, I ironed my Punjabi." And she goes, "Your mother-in-law is also going to be here." So I was like, run to the cupboard, take out something nice to wear. And when I got there, it was unbelievable. I mean, when we got there, the whole house had been done up, the whole...
That we were not expecting.
Yeah, and we were not. And there were 80 to 100 people there. It was full-on. A Pakka Mehndi celebration.
JJ cried when she walked in and she saw that. And I reflected on 20 years earlier when we got married. She never cried on that day. So I wasn't quite sure whether she cried because of anger or just reflecting on how bad her life's become in the last 20 years. But it was an incredible.
But it must have been a special evening, considering the kids have put this all together as well.
Shabbat and Simran, they're full of nonsense, and they get those qualities from their mother. But it was incredible how they managed to network, and most importantly, Shabbat can't keep a secret.
He tells mommy everything.
Yeah, he's his mommy's boy through and through. Simran, on the other hand, has got this, she's got the spy type of DNA
Which
quality.
worries me, Shalendra, which worries me.
But they managed to keep this away from us. They got hold of every single person who was close to us and ensured that they were there. Friends and families of ours from Durban and around the country. It was very special.
But I've got to ask you about this new initiative called JJs Cluster. Tell us more about that, JJ.
Well, you know, after the kids have grown and you find yourself with a lot more time on your hands, there's only so much you can cook and so much you can clean. I absolutely love shopping, like most women. But I don't shop to own or to possess. And this was actually brought to my attention by Rashti, my friend, who said to me, "You just like shopping and wasting my brother's money." And I thought, you know what?
How many pairs of shoes you got?
He keeps speaking of my 632 pairs.
632 pairs.
No, but he made me give away 100 pairs, including my Jimmy shoes.
Yeah.
So let's not go there, right?
Because they didn't fit me. And I normally wear, and I usually wear JJs Cluster in my gigs. You know,
JJ's Closet. The secrets are coming out now.
He's out of the closet now.
Yeah.
No, so then I just thought, you know what, let me do this as a hobby. I love shopping. I sometimes get compliments for the way I'm dressed or whatever. So I thought, you know, let's see what I can do. So by the by, I thought, let's have this happen. And I started off with 20 pieces that I bought from India while here. And on the 8th of January, my son came up with a Facebook page at 1:30 in the morning. And needless to say, it's taken off very, very well. We are very blessed that it's keeping me a lot busier than I expected.
And it's keeping her out of my hair, because she's got something to do that's really something she's passionate about. But I think more importantly, it's ticking a few other boxes. Number one, it's given JJ a tremendous sense of independence. It's with the kids being self-sufficient now, they don't need to be mummied as much anymore. In fact, I need to be mummied more than my children now. But the people that she's come into contact with, you know, a lot of them remember JJ from back in the day. A lot of them have been following what she's been up to over the last 10 years or 12 years that you've been away from the airwaves. Just interacting with them on a different level has been a really exciting experience.
Let's talk about Peru and Bala. That's become one of the biggest features. You guys have done shows across the country. What goes into that? Because there's some really amazing stuff you guys put out there.
You know, a lot of the material we do put out. I mean, remember, we've got to create a 15-minute comedy feature every single week, and we've been doing that for 13 years now. That's difficult to sustain, and you can't use fundamental jokes because that's not what Peru and Bala are all about. So it's about extracting experiences and observations from everyday life, things that happen at home. You know, making fun, just observing the elders in the family, watching your kids, behaviors that are peculiar to the South African Indian community by and large. And then these uncles get to go on and really make a masala of it.
What advice would you give to youngsters out there that want to get involved in the medium of radio?
Marry your mentor. Seriously though, you know, radio is about being yourself. It's about expressing your own personality. Radio is a very, very different medium from television. It's so much more immediate, because if you open your mouth and burp accidentally on radio, you've got 1 million people who are hearing you immediately.
Or say House of Dilly Goats.
Or say the House of Dilly Goats, like JJ infamously did many moons ago. But I think you need to know your audience exceptionally well. These are people who you will probably never meet in your life. But these are people who invite you into their homes, into their cars, into their offices. People who, long after you've left the airwaves at 10 o'clock in the morning when your show ends, who still talk and still smile and reflect mentally on the things they heard you say that morning. But if you can empower people's lives by being almost a kind of spirit that morning, because you're there but you're not there. You're not there physically. You know, they hear you. And also understand that people form opinions of you. But at 10 o'clock when the microphone goes off, you return to being who you are.
JJ, what has been a highlight in your career?
You know, Shalendra, when I started, I was very young, naive. I didn't have anybody to follow or who could mentor me. And I mean, I had my own personal issues to deal with, like bad skin. But my mom gave me a very good piece of advice then. And she says that the reason why you have human flaws is because you will always remember that you are human. And doesn't matter how far in life you progress or the great heights you reach, always keep your feet on the ground, and this keeps you grounded. And in that light, I was talking to somebody and I said, you know, the highlight of my career would be to interview Amitabh Bachchan, and they sniggered and said, yeah, right. Needless to say, I did manage to get an interview with him. I spent 3 days with him. We did the whole helicopter tour, which was amazing. I also enjoyed speaking to a lot of the other celebs, not because they were celebs, but because it puts your life into perspective. You know, you always think the grass is green on the other side. With fame comes its own complications. With fortunes comes its own complications. And you turn around and you say, thank you, Lord, for what I have.
But I think the legacy that you also left, because you've been very humble about it, the legacy you've also left is the way she introduced JJ's Jive, which introduced what's now known as Bhangra music to South Africa. That was JJ's Jive, that was her show. And I don't think many people around the country understand the forces she had to fight to get that show onto radio. And schools out, you know, I think that JJ's passion for children came through on that particular.
It was Auntie JJ at that time.
Yes, it still is Auntie JJ. I now have people shopping at JJ's Closet who refer to me as Auntie JJ because they listened to the show at that time. But you know, Shailendra, if you have to look back at what I did in radio and television, even when I wrote for the media or whatever, there are some wonderful memories. But I think the greatest reward of being associated with the media was finding my soulmate. Because I think if I was not at the right place at the right time, poor man would have married somebody else and been so unhappy.
I've got to ask you, with this being a Bollywood show, what's your all-time favorite Bollywood stars, movie classics, etc.?
Mine is easy. Mine is easy. My favorite movie of all time is Sholay.
He wanted to call my son Sholay.
I wanted to name
Lucky didn't call him Gabbar.
No, absolutely. And if I had a second son, I'd have called him Satya Pe Sata.
That's true. That's what he wanted.
Sholay is my all-time favorite. Now, I think back in the day, when you watch it now, you watch it with a lot more critical eye, because it's 21st century, technology's changed. The way you make movies has changed. But back then, and for many, many years, it was a movie that broke and transcended so many different genres of movie making.
I don't have a particular title that I can say is my favorite movie, although I've watched Jab We Met about 12, 13 times.
Yeah, well, they've shown it 400 times on the pay channels.
So that's when, you know, and it's on and I watch it. I enjoy that.
JJ, Vikash, it's been absolutely magical having you guys right here on Star Attraction. I wish you guys all the best for the future and hope to see you guys back on Star Attraction someday soon as well.
Thanks again for having us. This is the third time we've been.
I think we had you guys separately initially. I thought, well, let's get you guys together. Let's have some fun with you guys as well.
Thanks for having us on. Absolute pleasure.
There you go, a power-packed radio couple right here on Star Attraction. What a magical team indeed. JJ and Vikash Mathura.
A true inspiration to all couples, not just in South Africa, but around the world. But you don't go away, because up next, we'll take you on a musical journey on B4U Jukebox.